Tonight's species is one of my favorites because of how good they taste. They can be found in shallow water as well as deep. And in either case, they're going to be living around structure. Tonight we're talking grouper here on the Florida Insider Fishing Report.
Welcome to the Florida Insider Fishing Report, powered by Harbor Trucks and presented by Yamaha.
Hello Floridians, and welcome back to the Florida Insider Fishing Report. We know it's been hot out there, but we're heating things up in here, talking all about groupers. So Rick, why don't you give us some cliff notes to start with?
You know, Brie, grouper fingers.
Oh, they're so good though.
Right? You know, right? So whether it's fried, whether it's sauteed, grouper has got to be, besides yellowtail snapper, probably the most popular fish on the menus anywhere.
I agree.
So,
definitely in Florida.
Speaking of menu.
Sure. Speaking of menu, we have to move over to Dave Ferrell at the CCA Workbench. Dave, are you on the menu tonight?
Are you making a crack about how fat I am, that I'll eat the whole menu? Or?
Maybe, yes. That's what we're doing.
I do enjoy eating.
You like looking at what's on the menu.
Yeah, I do.
Dave, do we have some grouper goods over there today?
Yeah, we're going to talk about getting on the spot, which is the most important thing. We got a really cool guest who's going to come in here and tell us how to stay on the spot.
That sounds good to me. All right, the Bell's Southwest region is first up tonight with Captain Ronnie Houston, who's telling us all about the grouper bite and more. So Ronnie, let's get started.
Well, you know, like always, it's a pleasure representing the Bell's Southwest region. But you know what? Grouper can be caught both inshore and offshore, but the main target on my side is the offshore side. In the wintertime, you can catch these fish really close, either in a flats boat or in a bay boat, in depths of about 18 to 30 feet by simply trolling large lip plugs or using white bucktails with squid or glowworms, drifting and with plugs and bucktails on hard bottom or around wrecks, artificial reefs. But the majority of the fish are anywhere from depths of 40 feet up to 200 feet. Those would be your reds, your gags, and your blacks. Most of the time you want to target ledges and hard bottom, big or small. Your common baits will be cut squid, herring, sardines, but live herring, sardines, and finfish as well as grunts are great baits. Now, working these areas by anchoring or drifting is the best way to find them. But once you find them, try to stay close to the area for the rest of the day and keep working it. You will stumble on some more keeper fish. A lot of times you might catch small ones. Move on till you start catching bigger fish, and don't overfish the area you're fishing. That way you'll always have a spot to catch a couple of good ones. And once you find a few more spots like that, there will be days it'll be tough. But once you compile up a few spots, you will be more successful in catching keeper-sized grouper. And I got a prime example of a nice black caught with Captain Mike Avanon and a couple of nice red groupers while fishing with Captain Mike Avanon. So putting in the time to catch the groupers is suggested. Now on the offshore side, still the permit. The bite's great all through the region, anywhere from 7 to 20 miles out on moderate weather, suggested by anchoring or drifting across wrecks. The best bait right now is generally live crabs, free-lined or with a slight weight, but also reports of guys catch them on a variety of bucktails in pink, yellow, brown, tip with shrimp, or live shrimp. Still catching plenty of permit through the region up to 35 pounds. Now on the inshore side, the pompanos. Captain Denny Latham reports fishing the outside bars all around Charlotte Harbor has been producing nice fish. Drifting or trolling motoring, looking for fish skipping fish, or idling along the bars looking for fish skipping in your prop wash. He's telling me silly willy jigs in pink and white, but also to the south, it's been good from Pavilion Key to Lostman's River along sandy beaches, grass flats, and on the outer Gulf points with current. Root beer bass, assassin sea shads, shrimp, as well as bright-colored bucktails have been working. For some reason, the pompano bite has picked up all through the region. Also on the inshore side, on the northern end, tarpon. Captain Denny Latham also reports that even with the red tide, there's some good fish in Pine Island Sound as well as Charlotte Harbor using live threadfins and a variety of DOA bait busters, but also to the south, Coon Key to Pavilion Key in depths of 6 to 10 feet of water on the lower stages, and on the outer Gulf Islands on the outer stages, as well as passes, both north and south. Just scan the horizon, look for rolling, free-jumping fish. Also, pods are moving through. Get ahead of those fish and let them come to you.
Thank you so much, Midnight. We're going to go ahead and take a look at the Calusa cast net hotspots from the Southwest region. Offshore, Mangrove Snapper, stump past to Fort Myers Beach, fishing wrecks and ledges 25 to 40 feet, chumming and dropping back small pieces of cut bait. And then inshore, gator, trout, coon key to Jack Daniels Key, high tide outer faces of the Gulf Islands using large baits like pilchards, thread fins. You might want to try skitter walks and bass assassin dye dappers in 5-inch Houdini color for those gator trout, Brie.
All right, Rick. Captain Hageman in the Flagler Construction Northwest region has been known to have a few grouper aboard. So Jeff, why don't you share the love with us?
Grouper can be found throughout my entire region. With our relatively shallow coast and rock limestone bottom, our grouper fishery is probably one of the best in the state. Fishing from inshore to nearshore, offshore, fish can be found on flat, limestone bottom, potholes, rock piles, high relief structures, and wrecks. As far as baits go, pinfish, pigfish are some of the favorite live baits. As far as cut baits go, sardines and squid are some of the favorites. We have gags, carbos, red grouper, scamps, yellow edges, snowies, and warsaws, and Goliaths. And they can all be found in my region from depths from anywhere from 400 to 600 feet of water. Tackle, most of the people are using those high-speed reels, heavy action rods, 50 to 80-pound main line, and 100-pound main leader. Some of the smaller butterfly outfits with 80-pound braid are becoming more and more popular. It's a little bit lighter in your hand, a lot easier to control, and got a good bend to them, and they're working really good for that. We also have some really good wintertime shallow water grouper fishing in my region from as depths as shallow as 6 feet. Bayport to Wackasassa Bay, fish are being caught on heavy spinning gear, throwing big like Magnum Rapalas or other swimming plugs. And a grouper on a spinning rod in shallow water is a completely different animal. They pull like nothing else. And I've got some photos here. One of them is a giant Goliath we caught in the West Coast here. It's a good one on the water there.
That is a good one, Bob.
Nice.
Nice.
The next one we got is a big old Warsaw we caught in 160 feet of water off the West Coast here of a nice Warsaw on the Big Nasty.
Man, that is a big one. All right, man. Speaking of Big Nasty, what else you got for us?
Red snapper bite throughout my entire region seems to be on fire right now. Fish been reported from north to the south. The north part of the region, that 65 to 120 feet of water has been where the fish have been at. And the southern half of my region, a little bit deeper, 70 to 180 feet of water. Limits are really easy to obtain. Most guys are limited out 15 to 20 minutes. It's really easy to get fish in those depths over any kind of structure. Cut sardines, cut squid are the bait of choice on a standard or knocker rig. You want to use 4 to 10 ounces of lead, depending on the depth you're fishing and the current you're fishing in. 7/0 circle hook seems to be a perfectly sized hook. You can still hide it in the bait and still get enough bite where you're not going to miss those fish. Leader size varies a little bit right now. If you're not getting bit, drop down a little bit. I usually start off with 80, and most of the guys are fishing 80 to 50-pound test, depending on the water clarity, and the fish are averaging right now in both in the north part and the southern part of my region, anywhere from 4 to 10 pounds. And I've got a photo of a nice West Coast red snapper.
What else you got, Bub? Let's go inshore.
I've got that. It's scallop time. And Mario Costello out of Tall Tales Charters out of the Plantation Inn on Crystal River reports good scalloping around Gomez Rocks area and that 5 to 7 feet of water. The areas have been with multiple types of grass, seem to be holding better numbers of scallops. You want to try and get out there on the bottom of the outgoing tide. It'll be a little less deep, and those scallops are being caught pretty easy, and limits are right now anywhere from 2 to 3 hours. And I've got a photo here of the George family from Wesley Chapel with their limited scallops on a recent charter with Mario.
Man.
Gotta love Mario.
I'm getting hungry.
Oh, yeah, Mario's the man.
All right, what else we got going on in your region inshore, Bob?
I got Snook. Captain Jason Linebergers of Ruthless Fishing Charters out of Tampa Bay reports a great snook bite around the beaches and passes in lower Tampa Bay. He's fishing both the incoming tides, free line and sardines, and that's been the bait of choice up there. Farther up the coast, Tarpon Springs area, you want to fish the outer islands and passes on the outgoing tide. Seems to be the best up there. Pinfish and pigfish for bait, either free line or lightly weighted. And Mario's also still got a pretty good snook bite going up there in Crystal River. He's fishing a live pinfish with a 3/0 circle hook, and he's working those mangrove shoreline edges on low light conditions. And the snook in his area are ranging anywhere from 24 to 32 inches.
Hey, I got a question for you, Hag. You know, as you get further up and you got those so-called freshwater snook, you know, do you fish them differently, you know, or they seem to be the same genetic spool of fish? You know what I mean?
Their fish up there, they don't have the bait like we've got, and our fish have been, I think, so tuned to bait, you don't really have to throw bait up there like we do. So you can get away with throwing jigs and catching them more on artificial like we used to be able to do down here. But we've got our fish so tuned to bait right now that I don't think they're a different species. I don't think they're a different. I think they're keying in on what they have up there, and they have more shrimp than we've got, and we've got more scaled sardines than they've got, and we've been pouring to them. I think that's the only difference in them.
Yeah.
But they're going. I heard reports of fish being caught all the way up to Tallahassee.
They don't know about
up the coast.
They don't know about the candy man from the middle part of the Northwest region in North.
No, they don't.
Candy man.
I bring the candy.
All right, man. We'll see you later. Thank you. We're going to go ahead and take a look at the hot spots from the Northwest region. Our good buddy Jeff Hageman says inshore snook on the outgoing and incoming tide. Fish the creeks and potholes and cuts. Sounds like they're everywhere. And then offshore, mangrove snapper bite in 20 to 120 feet of water over the high relief structures. Use shrimp and small sardines for bait. Free line with lots of chum, Brie.
Okay, Rick, we're just getting warmed up here on the Florida Insider Fishing Report, so stay hooked for your Central East Region captain and your rigging techniques at the CCA workbench with Dave and his special guest.
Wilson!
It's Wilson.
This is Rick.
Oh, it's Rick. Oh, it's shiny.
Only his head is slightly smaller.
No, it's not.
I know.
That's about the size
we'll be
of
right
my
back,
head.
guys.
The Florida Insider Fishing Report is brought to you by Harbor Trucks. Visit harbortrucks.com. Yamaha. Reliability starts here. Contender Boats. Always in the game. Sirius XM Marine. Weather, fishing info, and channel surfing. Daiquiri Deck. Sarasota's favorite place to meet. And Sea Sucker. Get pumped.
Harbor Trucks is giving away a brand new 2018 Nissan Titan XD with the Cummins Turbo Diesel.
To enter, like our Facebook page and visit harbortrucks.com for more ways to win.
With the largest selection of new and pre-owned trucks in the country.
An on-site towing and test course.
Hassle-free buying and low, low, low prices.
Harbor Trucks is the place to buy.
Meet the water's lightest 25 horsepower four-stroke, the all-new Yamaha F25, the new standard and 25 horsepower portable four-strokes. At just 126 pounds, it's got the best power-to-weight ratio of any 25 horsepower four-stroke on the water. With performance that bests the previous Yamaha F25 and features like Yamaha's VTS for precise trolling speeds, batteryless EFI, built-in resting pads, and carry handles, it's the perfect portable power for small boats.
Welcome back. Here's a look at the Fwc News and Notes. July 14th is a kids fishing clinic in Palm Coast. July 16th through the 20th is a kayak adventures camp in Apollo Beach. And July 17th is the Nature Coast Fishing for Youth program in Cedar Key. For more information, visit myfwc.com. But now let's head to the CCA workbench for some rigs and techniques.
Well, we're here at the Academy Sports and Outdoors Rigs and Techniques at the CCA workbench, Dave.
Yes, sir.
And, you know, a few weeks ago, I was over doing a Sportsman's Adventure episode with my good buddy Mike Avanon from Vindictive Charters. And
the grouper killer.
We were doing some grouper fishing, and I got to say, we missed the spot by 50 feet, he says.
Yeah, and it made a huge difference. I mean, we moved over 50 feet, and
At that point, it was 3
Game
bent
on.
rods.
That's it.
Being on the spot is very important.
It's huge.
And that's why you're
a
here.
lot of people don't realize sometimes they'll fish a spot and they don't get right on it, and they'll think, well, there's no fish here, and move on to another one, when in actuality, they just haven't anchored on it correctly.
So, Dave,
Right.
you had some illustrations made
Correct.
up.
Correct. And what we have here, the first illustration we have is probably demonstrating some of the hardest parts of trying to get on a spot. And what you have up there is you have the boat, and that gray area is your hard bottom, and you got the tide and the wind. And this is a situation where you have the tide and the wind crossing.
And it's one of the most difficult situations to anchor in, because a lot of people don't take into consideration that tide is going to push you to the east. In other words, when it's a westbound tide. So what you want to do is you want to anchor up further to the west of your spot to make sure that all that chum and all that scent and everything actually flows to the fish. In other words, you don't want it flowing off into the sand.
Right.
You want to make sure that it goes right into the rock where your fish are.
So let's look at the second illustration.
Yeah, this is wind against tide, which is another kind of a tricky situation.
And it's a real simple fix when you get into this situation. Basically, you just let out a little more anchor rope and get your boat beyond the spot. In other words, you maybe go 100 feet beyond the spot to make sure that all that chum and bait and scent and everything once again is flowing to the fish.
And then the third illustration?
That's the easiest of them all. That's when the wind and the tide are coming out of the same direction. And what I usually do with myself and my boat is I'll get up, say the water's 100 foot deep, I'll get 200 feet past the spot to anchor up. But what somebody doing it in the beginning can do, they can get 300 feet up from the spot, and if they don't quite make it to where they want to be, they can always let out a little more anchor rope to get right where they want to be, right on that spot. When I say right on it, it's a matter of 35, 30, 40 feet, as close as you can get. When those fish are lazy, they don't have to swim very far to eat that bait. You know, it's like I always said, you leave a hamburger on a fat kid's porch long enough, eventually he's going to eat it.
Well, what is your rule of thumb as far as the scope of how much line you're putting out?
As a rule of thumb, it's 3 times the depth of water. So if you're in, say, 100 feet of water, it would be 300 feet, correct.
All right, so let's talk a little bit about the anchor. Mike, you are a master at not having to pull the anchor, more importantly. I noticed that you use, what is this, a plow?
This is a plow, right? And this is a great anchor because it'll grab in anything everywhere. The only thing with the plow anchor is you have to make sure, a lot of guys want to take and they want to put their chain right here.
Right.
What you want to do is actually shackle your chain to the back of the anchor. Okay. And then what we'll do is run the chain up to here and use a couple tie wraps or a small light piece of rope or heavy monofilament and tie it off. That way that chain comes off the tip of it like that.
To set it,
right. What that allows you to do instead of losing your anchor is this will break free, the chain comes this way,
and
you pull it out
forward.
backwards.
Pulls it out from the front end.
Right, yep.
Okay, so speaking of chain, rule of thumb, doesn't matter what kind of anchor, let's not get into that yet, but if we're going to use this plow, how long of chain would we want?
I use 20 feet, and it sounds like a lot, but what happens is a lot of times at the store, you'll get 6 feet of chain, and the boat will be actually pulling on the anchor like this. In other words, the boat's pulling up like this. So the whole anchor slides across the bottom. With the 20 foot of chain, what happens is it actually pulls down on the shaft and it lets that plow do the work that it needs to do.
Wow.
Right.
Just like that.
All right, so
which
Mike,
is what you want.
Let's talk about the other 2 anchors that we have here.
This is a Danforth or a Fluke anchor, and it's very popular. Most guys, this is what they're going to have on their boat.
Right.
It's a real simple, easy to use anchor. It'll stick in everything. And this anchor, for some reason, you do hang up in the bottom. It's easy to get it out.
I like it.
That's a good way to start right there.
This is what guys use for sand, grass, right?
Everything.
Just about anything
it'll stick anywhere.
Same applies to the length of chain?
Yeah, absolutely. 20 feet. The length of the chain is the biggest mistake that most people make outside of not having enough anchor rope on the boat when they go to anchor on a spot.
Okay, so this is called a grapple, I guess?
It is. And it has to be rigged the same way as the plow. You have to make sure that you put the
pull point
on the back with the tie wraps to the tip of it. Absolutely.
And that one just folds all up. So
the thing that I like about this, Mike, and this was a point that you brought up, this can be used on a little boat, you know, even a little skiff. It doesn't weigh much.
Well, you know
it can be easily stored.
Right, and what some guys will do is they'll actually, like if they're going to the beach or something, they'll have one of these in a bag with a small piece of chain and 30 feet of rope. You can go anchor up on next to the beach or the sandbar. It's nice and easy, it's simple.
All right, so in either case, now we've got 300 feet of anchor rope out because we're fishing in 100 feet.
Absolutely.
Who wants to pull that?
Man, I'll tell you what, this is the greatest thing that came along since sliced bread.
Okay, so how's this
is amazing. So what this is we call it a haul ball. And basically what you do is you take this ring right here, you open it up, and you put it around your rope, just like that, okay?
Okay.
Once that goes over the rope like that,
we're going to clip the
you
ball.
just clip it just like that. So what this does, I'll show you right here.
So now the rope is going through.
Rope's over here, right? It just slides right down the rope and actually catches the anchor.
So we're using the boat and the ball, we throw the ball over into the water.
Correct.
And it's sitting like this. And as we use the boat,
driving away.
We're driving away, driving past our anchor.
Yep.
Eventually what happens is it hauls it right up the rope, goes through here, and then it ends up, the anchor itself ends up in the ring.
Yeah, it actually holds the anchor up on the surface of the water. That way all you're doing is taking up slack instead of pulling the weight of the anchor, the chain, and everything else. Makes life great.
You guys, Dave, that is better than chicken rigs and knocker rigs.
Yeah, of course.
You know what, Mike? If guys want to come fishing with you, vindictivecharters.com?
Vindictive Charters, yeah. Well, actually, just Instagram, Captain Michael Avenon.
There it is.
That's it.
There it is.
There it is. I just
there it
learned
is, Brie.
so much, you guys. That was awesome. And then the wind and the tide thing, I know that's like #1 question when Rick goes to all of his seminars. People ask it all the time. So learned a lot. Thanks, Mike. What are you guys doing over there? The Bell Central East region is now up for some grouper talk with Captain Jim Ross. So, Jim, tell us how our weekend is going to go.
Well, hopefully it will go really well. We've got 3 different species that are our main species here. We've got gag, scamp, and red, and you can find them on most of the reefs and wrecks, starting at about 120 feet in the bottom part of the region, out to the 240-foot Okalina bank, anywhere in between as well, sometimes on the 21-fathom ridge and the 27-fathom ridge. There's a lot of different places that we can find grouper. The main thing is that you want to get out there and use some live bait. It seems like that's the big secret for catching big ones, and you want to use pinfish or sardines, grunts, croakers. You know, that's what catches the biggest fish. Now, vertical jigs will work at times, but a lot of guys find that the snapper eat them a little quicker than the grouper do, so they'll go to this big 12 to 24 ounce glow jigs, nylon hair out the back of them, tip them with a sardine or some kind of a ballyhoo, some kind of a big bait sometimes. As long as it's a glow paint or a glow skirt, you can also get a glow skirt, like some of the squid skirts. You can catch some of those fish, and right now they're running 15 to 20 pounds on average, and there's quite a few fish, especially the gags, that are up into the 30-pound range. Our other species offshore is king mackerel, and, you know, we've got this cold water still swirling around. I'm getting reports every day of clean water here, but dirty water there, you know, and dirty cold water. And then, oh, well, it's clean back up over here again. You know, it's pushing the king mackerel all over the place right now, guys. So you really need to be ready to go out there and burn a little bit of fuel. Or if you have an XM receiver, you can see what your sea surface temperatures are and run to the warmer areas. But right now, blue runners, sardines, menhaden, and pilchards seem to be the top baits. There's also, just the last couple of days, a couple of mullets starting to run up the beach. The silvers are starting to run, so look for them. And if you find them, take them out to the 90-foot reefs, 70 to 90-foot reefs throughout the region. You're going to catch some fish. But you can also catch some fish 15 to 20 pounds right there on the beach. There's some pretty good ones. I had a real fun time in the Canaveral buoy line earlier this week. And then swinging inshore, Rick, you know, one of your favorites is the redfish, and we've had a little bit of an absence of redfish here recently. I'm not sure where they're gone, but they've started to regroup and started to come back up into the north end of the Indian River and the Mosquito Lagoon. The area around Tiger Shoal, Preacher's Island, and the flat from Pardon Slough north up into White Sands has been especially good the last couple of days. So topwater plugs like the Rapala Skitterwalk or twitch baits like the Assassin 4-inch Sea Shad or the 5-inch Didapper rigged weedless are working really well. Most of the fish are fairly aggressive first thing in the morning, and they're chasing bait fish, so you can get them to eat those aggressively worked topwaters. Once it settles back down, they stop chasing the topwater, go to a piece of cut bait, and that's going to be the best way to catch these reds that are running 20 to 30 inches. And then our last species is speckled trout. And we had really, really good trout fishing so far this year, despite, you know, some different water quality issues that we've had to deal with. Right now, once again, the Rapala product, the Twitch and Wrap in the skitter walks, in the 08 and 07 sizes are working really, really well. Olive green, bone, and the hot flash colors are some good ones right now. If you can't find the Twitch and Wraps, then you've got to go find yourself the Twitch and Mullet or the Subwalk and find them in the pinfish or the mullet color. Those two seem to be working really good. Now, our water temperatures are running about 85 to 87 degrees, so try and find some cooler temperatures, especially if you found an area where it had rain the night before. You're going to get an area that's going to have an 83 or 84 degree water temperature. You're going to find more trout in that area. After the sun pops up, 10 a.m., so 9:30, 10 a.m., drop out to the 4 to 5 foot depths adjacent to the shallower flats, and that's where you're going to find the big trout. And I've got a nice picture here. Jeff Efert, he was out with me earlier. Actually, last week he was out with me, and he had this nice trout on his little skitter walk that we were throwing on the flats in the northern Indian River Lagoon.
All right, thank you so much, Jim. We're going to go ahead and take a look at the sea sucker hotspots from the Central East region. Jim says that inshore we need to go trout on the Spoil Islands from Sebastian to Port Malabar, and we want to use live pilchards, mullet, or croakers for the fish up to 8 pounds. And that's a big trout. And then offshore, gag groupers on the 27 fathom ridge use live baits on a standard bottom rig.
All right, Rick. Well, we've been talking about it for weeks, and now we're finally announcing who won our Bell's Fishing Trip contest.
Who was it, Brie?
And who's going to get a day fishing with us. I'm so excited. Are you ready to find out who we're taking?
I'm listening.
Can I get a drum roll, please? Not on me, on the boat. Oh. All right. James L. Jr. from Seminole, Florida. Congratulations.
Come on, James.
And we will see you on the water soon. You excited?
That's right. I'm always excited when I get to take somebody fishing.
It's going to be fun. Trust me, we have a good time. All right, we have to take a break from all this excitement, but when we come back, we're visiting the Central West and Northeast region, so stay tuned, and we'll have you hooked up in no time. We'll be right back.
Yeah, I got to go fix my chip.
The Florida Insider Fishing Report is brought to you by Power Pole, Swift, Silent, Secure, Bass Assassin and Saltwater Assassin. The best lures, period. Blue Water Outriggers, everything for your outdoor adventures. The American Fishing Tackle Company, any fish, any water, since 1958. Costa Sunglasses, see what's out there. And Casa Vieja Lodge, 5-star angling in beautiful Guatemala.
I'm Captain Rick Murphy, and I'm a life member of CCA. Why am I so involved with CCA, you ask? Because I want our fisheries to be in better shape for my kids and their kids. CCA is working to ensure the future of recreational fisheries and the rights of recreational anglers. The future of fishing starts today with you. How do you want to leave things with your kids? If you're like me, you'll want to make the right choice and go to joinccaflorida.com right now.
As close as you're gonna get to a sure thing for catching billfish is Guatemala.
They're here, man. This has been a 20-year run, buddy. These things haven't left. There's no cycle.
When it comes to sail fishing, this is the real deal.
The amount of sailfish here is ridiculous.
As a top Nissan Titan dealer in Florida, Harbor Trucks is excited to offer your business a new 2018 Nissan Titan, starting at only $25,999. No gimmicks, $25,999. Our ridiculous volume allows us to offer this one-time deal that includes America's best 5-year, 100,000-mile bumper-to-bumper warranty, hassle-free buying, and low, low, low prices. Contact our commercial specialists now at harbortrucks.com.
So we're down here in Chokoloskee and we're doing a Sportsman's Adventure episode, and you know, since we got Sirius XM Marine, it's really comforting knowing that the rain that they predicted today, to being able to see exactly where it is. Now through my Garmin and this antenna, I'm able to check and see exactly where the storms are. So here's the boat, and as you can see, all of the storms are south of us, and they're all moving to the east. So it looks like we're gonna get a couple more good hours of fishing. I can see the intensity using my chart over here as to whether I've got to worry about really some bad cells, and also I can tell if there's any lightning. And as you can tell over here off of Miami, as the front comes through, we're getting some lightning strikes. Having this in a bay boat and seeing which way the storms are moving are giving me a lot more fishing today while we're doing this Sportsman's Adventure episode. So check out Sirius XM Marine, and I'm sure that you'll be really excited and happy when you learn how it also works. The other thing that I see is we come with forecast. We also have the ability to do sea conditions, and it loads in the weather. So coming in the future, we'll be able to see all of these little things, and probably I'll be sharing this with you as I learn more about it and how the winds and everything is affected. So check out Sirius XM Marine. I think you'll really like it as much as I do. So guys, you know, as you can see, we're talking about a service that's an overlay on my chart plotter. Now, I mentioned the marine zones and marine forecast. Now, remember this about your Sirius XM. The one thing that's so cool is that when you listen to your NOAA radio, what you find is these are all the zones that they're referring to. The unfortunate part about what this does is if you miss the area when you're listening to the radio, it might take up to 15 minutes in order to circle back to the area where you want to know what the marine forecast is. Now, Sirius XM, it actually gives it to you right away. All you have to simply do is push on your screen. It'll highlight the marine zone that you want. Now that you've highlighted the zone, you can actually go to the next screen. Watch what happens. We'll actually show you, but looking at the local forecast, it gives you 4 pages of data. This particular one is page 4, where it actually tells me about the southeast winds, where it is, as well as all the different signals. As you can see, the signal behind me, it shows me where I got weather strikes or lightning strikes. Now remember, Sirius is a satellite-based system, so you don't have to have the cell signal in order to get Sirius XM. So if you want to sign up, you go to SiriusXM.com/FIFR. Right, Brie?
Absolutely, Rick. The StarTron Central West region is up and with the one and only Captain Jeff Page. So, Page, tell him what's going on.
Good evening, fish fans. I'd steal that from Randy. You know what? In our Central West region, StarTron Central West region, our grouper fishing is probably the mainstay to our offshore fishery. And thanks to hard work from FWC, CCA with the regulations and closures, the red and gag grouper fishery is as strong as ever. You know, they're probably the most popular in all the grouper family is the red and gag, and pretty much they're available year-round in our Gulf of Mexico hard bottom areas, as well as the wrecks, ledges, and reefs. Water temperature pretty much determines the depth that these fish will be holding in. For instance, right now with our water in the high 80s, look for the better sized groupers in 110 feet of water on out. You know, let's not forget about the Goliath Grouper. He can be in as close as 45 feet. He doesn't seem to mind the hot water. He just wants to be where there's lots of other stuff to eat. You know, another popular grouper we have in our region, and probably my favorite to eat, is the scamp grouper, which seems to be more available, easier to catch in the fall and winter months. All our grouper are taken on a variety of live and dead baits, starting out with pinfish, cigar minnows, grunts, threadfin, herring, as well as scaled sardines and Spanish sardines. It's not uncommon, though, to make sure to bring a couple boxes of frozen sardines on every grouper trip, be it summer, winter, spring, or fall. And another easy way on your way out grouper fishing to catch bait is stop off at any of the mile markers just outside your inlet and sabiki up some fresh pinfish or grunts. Another method of catching them is we like to throw lipped plugs like Rapala X-Rap 15, 20s, or 30s, or the new live target 20 or 25 deep diving plugs in the Spanish mackerel pattern. In the fall, like early September, a lot of the gags will move into our intercoastal waterway edges and channels from the Skyway Bridge south to Sarasota Bay. I've got a couple really good grouper photos tonight. First, of T.A. Mahoney's own Mike Mahoney and a friend of his with a couple real nice gags. And my second one, the Goliath Slayer himself, Bo Johnson of Tenacity Guide Service out of Pine Island, Florida.
Nice. All right, let's go red snapper fishing, bub.
Red snapper, Rick, it remains strong as ever. I've received reports from guys down off Venice Englewood, all the way to guys up off St. Pete Beach, and the depth of water is very consistent wherever they are, 110 to 145 feet of water, just like I was talking about with the groupers. With this hotter water, they've moved out. Only thing with that red snapper is don't be concerned so much about the live bait. They're doing just as well on frozen sardines as they are on live pinfish. As your pinfish are dying or dead, cut them up, put them down. Got a nice red snapper photo tonight of Captain Tyler Chartland of Chasing Tails Fishing Charters with a young, happy angler named Brite. Moving inshore, Snook, if you were to ask any angler along my Central West region what was the best game fish to catch right now and the easiest, Snook would be your answer. And the cool thing is, Rick, there's a variety of ways to catch them right now. With the big high tides we've got coming up this week, look for the fish staged up on top of the bars. Long Bar to be one of them, all the way up the eastern side of the bay, off Rattlesnake Key and Joe's Island, and then down south. I've heard the water's clearing up, but the one thing that happened with all that red tide in Boca Grande, it pushed a lot of the fish over to the east and west walls towards the rivers. So there's still plenty of fish to catch there. There's a lot of floating grass in the bay right now and a lot of small hatch bait. Pay attention to that small bait. See those birds diving? It's a good place to throw topwater plugs if the grass isn't too bad. I went this morning and did real well. Rapala skitter walks and live target walk the dog type plugs. Doing real well on snooks on the grass flats on the east side of Sarasota Bay. Along the beaches, guys are doing real well with live pilchards, pinfish, and grunts. The other key is looking for the bait along the beaches. You can throw your cast net there or in the bay. Another great lure to use is a soft, small white grub like a saltwater assassin glow or white sea shad rigged on a silver quarter-ounce jig head. Snook photo tonight, Andy Carruthers of Cat Diesel Ring Power.
All right, what else? Last species.
Last species, Mangrove Snapper. With all these warm temperatures, the Mangrove Snappers have moved in, and pretty much the same rule applies. Deeper grass flats, look for the small hatch bait. Anywhere from Boca Grande to Sarasota Bay, north to the Skyway, you're going to catch nice mangs. You can leave your leader at 20 to 25 pound, small number 2 or 4 circle hook. Captain Page signing out.
All right, thank you so much, Captain Page. We're going to go ahead and take a look at the daiquiri deck, Central West, Hotspots, offshore, permit. The bite remains strong on wrecks and reefs 11 to 15 miles off of Passage Key. And then inshore, Snook, good nighttime fishing around the bridges and dock lights from New Pass north to Anna Maria.
That was cute. Captain Page signing out.
Captain
I've never heard him say
Page.
that before. Captain Page, bye-bye.
Can we get Captain Tommy?
No, I need to ask you a question first.
Oh, okay.
Well, we're going to ask you how you would like to win a Nissan Titan from Harbor Trucks.
Wonder how Tommy would. Go ahead.
Well, the Harbor Trucks giveaway is making it easy, and all you have to do is go to their Facebook page, like it, mark going to an event, and tag a friend. But there are so many more ways to enter until the end of December. So head on over to harbortrucks.com for more information, and good luck. And now we're taking some time to FaceTime your Captain Tommy Derringer. Captain Tommy,
Tommy,
how would you like to win a Nissan truck?
I was so excited. I wanted to get to you and ask you, you want to win a Harbor truck?
So excited.
Hey, I totally understand. I want to win one of those trucks. It sounds like a good deal to me.
Well, all you have to do is go to their Facebook page, mark going.
All right.
All right, let's get to your
guys,
report.
you know what? Hey, we've got some killer grouper fishing here in the Strike Zone Northeast region. And, it's a favorite species of those offshore guys. And you can pretty much catch them year-round. A late winter into the springtime is probably your best bet at a huge gag grouper, but it's decent out there right now as well. You're going to find our grouper on the usual offshore ledges, the reefs, and the wrecks. Now, I spoke with Captain Jimmy Laidler from the legendfishing.com. He tells me he's catching some big grouper right now in the 130 to 150 foot depths. He says the Strike Zone Northeast region is known for those big scamp grouper, which are delicious from about this time of year, but especially getting on towards the end of summer. Jimmy tells me those groupers are going to hold on just about any kind of structure, but a lot of times the smaller ledges are going to hold some of the biggest grouper. Now, you're probably not going to mark a lot of those fish on your bottom machine, but if you find a small ledge or a piece of live bottom out there, it's probably worth a drop. Now, the best baits are going to be live pinfish, grunts, or sardines, but a big Boston mackerel is going to work as well. Now, Captain Jimmy told me his top secret gag grouper bait is going to be a live pink porgy. Now, 100-pound test mainline to a fish finder rig with about 10 foot of a 150-pound leader and a stout VMC circle hook is going to be the typical setup. Basically, you got to break out some heavy-duty gear, lock down that drag so you can pull those big groupers out from their little hidey holes that they're in. Now, I've got a picture here. Captain Jimmy from the legendfishing.com, he sent me this picture of one of his clients with a huge gag, or black belly as we call them, that they caught offshore out of St. Augustine.
Dang, that's nothing but grouper fingers there, bub. All right, let's talk about some mangrove snappers.
Yeah, the mangoes, man. There's been an awesome mango bite happening throughout the region. I spoke to Captain Billy Hunsicker from EndlessSummerCharters.com. He tells me he's caught over 130 mangoes, mostly those big giant ones, just over the last few days. That's a lot of snapper. Now, he's fishing anywhere from 100 to 140 foot over wrecks and reefs, and he said it looks like that thermocline that's been going around a little bit, it seems like it's gone for now. Now, Billy said he's been heavily chumming with frozen sardines to get those snappers up in the water column. Now, if he does get them near the surface, he's going to free line a chunk of sardine back behind the boat using a 30 to 40 pound fluorocarbon leader and a 3 or 4/0 VMC circle hook. Now, if the fish are staying down a little bit, he's probably going to put a weight on there to get it down. Now, I've actually been catching some big mangoes out of the bay boat in fairly close in 65 to 75 foot of water out of Matanzas Inlet. Now, we've been fishing the bottom with live pogies, and when you can get through all those huge red snapper that are around, there's been a few of those nice mangrove snapper. I've got a picture here. This is my client and good buddy Don Carmichael with one of those big mangoes he caught with me earlier this week.
Big is an understatement. That's
moving
pretty nice.
inshore, you know what? We got a perfect early morning high tide this weekend, and that's going to be a great tide to bust out the topwater plug and go look for some redfish. Those reds have absolutely been inhaling that Rapala Skitter V for me and my clients this week. Just look for concentrations of bait or busting fish along grass lines and oyster bars. Now, that early morning high water is also good for targeting some bull reds. There's some big bruisers hanging around all the area inlets right now. Fish the jetty rocks with a half blue crab or a cut mullet on an hour or so on either side of that high tide. I talked to Captain Buzz Brannon from NortheastFloridaAngling.com. He tells me he's been catching some huge reds in the St. Johns River on that high slack tide as well. Buzz is targeting submerged rock piles in about 10 to 12 foot right around the Dames Point Bridge. He's rigging a 3/8 ounce jig head, a live finger mullet, or a piece of cut mullet. And Captain Buzz sent me a photo. This is Buddy with one of those huge redfish caught recently with Captain Buzz up in Jackson.
Nice.
You know, I got just a quick trout report. You know, the trout have been chewing really well this week, especially on that clean high water near the inlets. Top waters as well as subsurface plugs like that Rapala Shadow Rap have been working really well when fished around docks, rocks, and seawalls. Now, top water trout, it's always been my favorite way to target them, and there's some big ones up shallow this week that are eating those top water plugs. Guys that target the whiting have actually been catching some big yellowmouth trout fishing in the deeper areas of the ICW and at the inlets. Most of those yellowmouth trout, they're in the 1 to 3 pound range, not quite as big as some of those speckled trout yet.
All right, Tommy, thank you so much. We'll see you at ICAST. All right, bud, we'll talk to you later.
Bye, Tommy.
All right, we're going to go ahead and take a look at the hot spots from the strike zone northeast region offshore. Mangrove Snapper in 100 to 140 foot depths out of St. Augustine. And then inshore, the bull reds in St. Augustine Inlet. Fish the slack tide with a half a blue crab or maybe a piece of cut mullet.
Okie dokie, Rick. We're hitting up the Keys region next on the Florida Insider Fishing Report, but we have to go to our favorite CCA workbench guru, Dave Ferrell, for some new product action. Dave, what are we spending our money on today?
This big Rapala. It's got more lip than my children.
That's
Look at that
good
thing. That
one.
thing's going to get deep.
It's going to get deep. We'll be right back. Nice. Dave's one-liners.
The Florida Insider Fishing Report is brought to you by Academy Sports and Outdoors. For all, for less. FWC, the Florida Fish and Wildlife Conservation Commission. Soft Science, Supreme Comfort Footwear. Real Legends, exclusively at Bell's. And Maverick Boat Group, makers of premium boat brands Maverick, Hughes, and Pathfinder.
Yamaha's 4.2-liter V6 offshore 4-strokes. For those that like their V6 lighter, faster, and stronger. Setting new standards for power, efficiency, speed, and lightweight. Built for the rigors of offshore boating. Packed with Yamaha's legendary reliability. And now Yamaha's 4.2-liter V6 4-strokes offer a choice between digital or mechanical controls to match your rigging preference. Yamaha. Reliability starts here.
so that we can just bonus it to everyone.
Yeah? Stop working right now! Look outside. Is this spreadsheet weather? No, it's not. This is fishing weather. So stop clicking, get out there, and catch a bass. Stop what you're doing and start fishing Rapala ripstop.
This is Academy Sports and Outdoors. We offer a huge sports and outdoors selection of top name brand gear like you've never seen. All at low prices like you've never seen. Because we're a sports and outdoor store like you've never seen. Visit us in store or at academy.com for the guaranteed lowest prices. Academy Sports and Outdoors, for all for less.
So we're here at the CCA workbench.
Yes, sir.
And Dave, new products. Let's just jump right in.
All right, we're going to start off with the Yeti Hopper. This is called the Backflip 24, and they call it a backflip because not only is it a cooler, it's a backpack. You can wear it as a backpack. You know, go traipsing down the jetty and whatnot. It'll hold 20 cans. It's like 20 quarts, and it'll hold 20 cans. It's got removable front straps on the, on your chest and on your belly if you want to put one around your belly to hold everything down.
Strap her on there, babe.
Correct. And it's tall. You can figure it's tall and it's wider than the other one, so it really redistributes the weight properly, and so you can wear it as a backpack. Which you need.
I got it.
Really good.
I like it.
Really good straps. It's got a cold holding zipper, 100% waterproof. Just like all the Yeti stuff, and it's got the rhino hide, dry hide shell. Cold cell insulation, so everything you put in there is going to last a long time.
Easy
the Yeti
to clean
product,
too.
Correct, which is very important.
As we know.
Yep, exactly.
All right, Dave, what's next?
All right, the next we have this Akuma, the Spiral Carbon Technology rods, the SCT rods, SC rods, and the main advantage of this is, if you notice, this is a fiberglass rod, but it has a section of carbon fiber that runs all the way through it, 6,000 strands of carbon fiber that runs spirally through that whole rod. And it's a double helix wrap, and it really gives you extra strength. It's really strong, incredibly light for what it is. EVA foam on the front and the back, foregrip and the back. It's got Fuji guides, tangle-free K guides on here, and it comes with a 1-year warranty from Akuma Fishing. And they're incredibly inexpensive as well.
Absolutely.
For the rod that you get.
So this is the same series that we've been using both inshore and offshore, Dave.
Yep, this is a 7-footer.
I really like them because of the stiffness. When they don't sand this down, the unsanding is what really makes it really stiff.
I got you. That's good stuff.
I like it.
All right, next we got the Brite Xtreme Clean. And the Xtreme Protectant. Now the Xtreme Clean is the cleaner. It'll clean all surfaces just about, and it's a degreaser. Removes dirt, grime, greasy stains. Cleans vinyl, fiberglass, plastic, rubber, any painted surface on the boat. And then the Xtreme Protectant, it's mainly for interior or exterior. You can use it in both. It's a multi-surface UV protection. So anything you spray this will keep the sun from destroying it. Leather, any type of fiberglass, your gel coat, you can use it just about on anything, and it keeps stuff from from cracking and drying out. And it also has an anti-static finish, so that once you spray it on stuff, it won't attract dirt. It's not sticky.
I love using them on my cushions as well as when I'm cleaning up my Yeti.
Yep.
It really works.
No oily residues on that or anything. All right, now these are that plug I showed earlier on there that has the big lips. This is an X-Wrap Magnum Dive Bait 40. It's the 40, and that means it'll go 40 feet deep.
40.
Yeah, and these are really pretty. They got the UV brightness on them. Aggressive swimming action, obviously. Giant VMC hooks.
Permasteel
great hooks. And again, depths of 40 feet, so you can, great for trolling for a grouper and some of those 40-foot depths. Tell you what, when you're fishing for a grouper, the bite you get on a live bait's awesome, but the bite on a trolling plug is something else entirely. You go trolling those things underneath that Tampa Bridge or something at the right time of year, and you can really smoke them.
No doubt.
And they bust. Real quick here, we got the AFTCO. We always have their shirts and stuff on there, but these are the AFTCO Beta lightweight fishing pants. And, you know, I wear these things all the time, man. They're very nice. Flex 4-way, you know, UPF 50. We got plenty of
drawstring inside.
Drawstring inside, plenty of elastic on the waist, which, you know, I kind of need. It's got really good Velcro pockets, storage pockets.
Put your wallet in there.
You put your wallet both sides for pliers.
Pliers.
Like I said, again, very stretchy. It's got a, it's like 92% nylon and 8% spandex. So you got to.
You mean men have finally got
exactly.
into spandex?
Yeah, we got
That's
some spandex.
what I'm talking about. Way to go, Asco.
Nice zipper pocket on the back. Just
spandex.
really nice pants. I just bought my dad some for Father's Day. He loves them.
And you know what I love about them, Dave? Is they're pretty stain resistant.
Yes, they are. These I ruined these. These pants were ruined. You can see just slight stains on there. I used these the other day to ream out a drain pipe. With a
use a rusty snake?
With a big, giant, rusty snake.
Oh.
And these things were covered in rust from top to bottom, and my wife said, those are ruined. You can't ever wear them again. And this is how they came out of the wash machine.
One wash.
One wash machine, correct.
What else?
Well, this is the Aftec technical shirt. These are the short sleeves. Again, these are very, very lightweight and really comfortable.
Right.
I mean, you can tell the way these things move. Just really nice. They have the Aft Cool moisture wicking, the Afflex, the UPF 30, and they're antimicrobial. So, you know, if you're not, you know, I like the long sleeve ones for just going fishing, right? Because I like to cover up all the way. But for just walking around, and even if you like to wear, you know, short sleeves, these are perfect. And all my buddies want them. I won't give them away.
You did a great job tonight representing the new products. I appreciate it very much.
Yes, he did, and he is in love with those pants. And I would say both of you are in love with spandex, which makes my heart happy. Well, we're headed down to the Keys, and if grouper is on your mind, Captain Randy Tao is going to tell you how to find them. Hey, Randy.
Hey, good evening, fish fans. You know, that might have been a little too much information on our new wardrobe line, but that's between you two. You know, when we talk about groupers in the Keys, that's a real popular fish. Everybody loves catching them because they fight real good and they're excellent eating. So they're a pretty popular both bayside and oceanside, shallow water, deep water. It really depends where you're going to target them. And you don't have to be in deep water to find some big groupers. And it's just all about where you're fishing. I know in the upper Keys we like the reef, anywhere from 90 to 120 feet. And some of the deep wrecks out in 150 to 200 feet, we find some nice black groupers and red groupers. Now, in that zone, we're fishing braided line. We're dropping live bait down and on a short 80-pound leader, and we're getting our bites. And it's a real tug of war because you've got to get those fish turned around. Otherwise, they're going to take you right back in the structure, and you're not going to catch them. So you want to be rigged up for them. And as you move on down, probably as you get farther south toward Key West and the Dry Tortugas, I would say they probably have some of the absolute best bottom fishing. So the groupers are just a given for one of their best fish down there. And guys fish them all over, kind of the same thing, but they can catch them in shallow water. Captain Chris Trotsit with Real Fly Charters, he fishes out of Key West, and he is really good at catching most everything. But he sent me a picture the other day of a couple of his clients. They were in 75 feet of water. They were fishing live pilchards on spinning rods, probably trying to catch a mutton snapper, and they caught a 53 and a 41-pound black grouper.
Whoopsie.
Man, I just got to go fishing with Mike
Pick your
Avalon
chin up.
and Chris. I just need to book them a year. Just for a whole year.
Yes,
I want to
do.
catch those
Right.
fish, Brie.
Me
All
too.
right, Randy, let's go. What else you got offshore?
You know, we still got dolphin around. We're just coming off a full moon, and I always say the full moon in July is one of the best times to catch big dolphin. And it's certainly held up to its reputation this year. The last week or so, there's been some nice fish in that 30 and 40-pound range. Now, the key is when you get offshore, look under some of these big floating weed patches because there's going to be live bait under them. Have your sabiki rod ready, catch your live bait, and now you've got something live to throw at a school of dolphin when you get into them. And more than likely, the big dolphin is going to swim up while you're catching some of these schoolies. So you want to have a rod ready. You want to be prepared because as quick as he comes, he'll go. And if you're not ready, you won't catch him. And Captain Brian Cohn on his boat, the Contagious, at Arabi's Marina, is one of the best at catching dolphin, and big ones especially. he sent me this picture of a 40-pounder they caught a few days ago doing exactly that.
All right, there's another guy I got to put on the list. All right, man, let's go inshore. Who you got for me inshore now?
Tripletails. You know, calm weather, June, July time frame, incoming tide in the backcountry and on the park boundary edge of the Gulf. We find these tripletails floating in with the tide. Now, on a sunny day when it's calm, you can see these fish from a long ways away, and you actually see the white of their belly up on the surface. We don't have any crab traps out there right now, so there's nothing holding them on any kind of structure. So you're going to see them floating. Approach them nice and easy, a live shrimp on a light spinning rod or even a frozen shrimp, and hit them right on the head with it, and you'll get these tripletails to cooperate. They're usually very user-friendly, and Captain Frankie Ortiz, he's a guide out of the Lorelei in Isla Mirada. He's been on them in the backcountry for the last week. He sent me this picture of Daniel and Andrew with some of the nice tripletails they're catching.
Wow. All right, man, one more species to go. Where are we going?
Tarpon. You know, we're shifting gears right now. We had a really good tarpon season around home, around the bridges, and there's still a few, but it's kind of short-lived. It's an early morning, it's a late in the afternoon into the dark, and the backcountry has turned on for the last week or so. It's gotten really good. A lot of fish showing up back there. Guys are catching them on the fly rod. They're catching them on bait. So a pretty good body of tarpon right now in the backcountry, which is kind of normal. July is some really good tarpon fishing usually, and it seems like it's holding true this year. And Captain Brian Williams, he's no stranger to finding them, and he sent me this picture of a nice tarpon they caught the other day.
Man, good job. Thank you for all the pictures this week, Randy. We're going to go ahead and take a look at the Florida Keys hotspots. Randy says inshore, we're going to go tarpon fishing. Fish the upper Keys bridges early with crabs, and again in the evening just till after dark. And then offshore, dolphin. Catch live baits under the big weed patches. Look for the birds early, and then fish in 400 feet on out for the big mahi-mahis.
Man, big mahi-mahi. The photos from the Keys this week are insane. We love it.
Good weather, it's good fishing.
Good weather, good fishing. All right, since we're in the Keys, we want to remind you about the Key West Marlin Tournament, which is set for July 18th through the 21st in Key West. There's over $50,000 in cash prizes, so test your skills for blue marlin, white marlin, or spearfish at the Woods Wall. There's also fun fish categories, including dolphin, wahoo, and tuna. For more information, go to keywestmarlin.com. And we're headed to the Panhandle and Southeast regions next here on the Florida Insider Fishing Report. But before we take a short break, we want to remind you, if you want to keep up with everything fishing in Florida, visit our website, like us on Facebook, follow us on Twitter, watch us on YouTube, and view and tag us on Instagram. We'll be right back with your captains.
The Florida Insider Fishing Report is brought to you by Rapala. Catch the latest at Rapala.com. Startron. Cures and prevents ethanol fuel problems. Yeti. Built for the wild. CCA Florida. The voice of recreational anglers for over 30 years. Strike Zone Fishing. Your fish hunt paddle store. And Guy Harvey. Marine wildlife artist and conservationist.
Real Legends Performance Clothing. Everything you need to be comfortable on the water all day long. Keeps you cool, dry, and protected from the sun. Durable performance technology at an unbeatable value. Shop anytime or go to reallegends.com to find a Bell store near you.
Trucks is giving away a brand new 2018 Nissan Titan XD with the Cummins Turbo Diesel.
To enter, like our Facebook page and visit harbortrucks.com for more ways to win.
With the largest selection of new and pre-owned trucks in the country.
An on-site towing and test course.
Hassle-free buying and low, low, low prices.
Harbor Trucks is the place to buy.
Flagler Construction Equipment is your certified Volvo equipment dealer, servicing 55 counties in Florida. With Volvo, you get brute strength combined with bulletproof durability. That means low downtime and optimal production. Flagler Construction Equipment is the partner for all your Volvo sales, service, and rental needs, and your first and last stop for legendary customer service and support. Push boundaries with Volvo. Get to know Flagler Construction Equipment by stopping by one of our 6 locations or visit us on the web at www.flaglerce.com.
Remember, guys and gals, for weekly reports from our 9 captains, you can go to our website at FloridaInsiderFishingReport.com. And don't forget to like us on Facebook and follow us on Instagram at Official Insider and Captain Rick Murphy. Also, just a reminder that next week is our Shark Show, and Dr. Guy Harvey will be in our studios. Very exciting. So if you want to be a part of our live studio audience, you can sign up at our website. It's going to be lots of fun.
It is.
Dr. Guy Harvey's always
Sharks
a good time.
are my favorite.
Sharks. It's good. Captain Deneen in the
this
Yeti.
Week, Grouper's favorite.
This week, Grouper.
Go
Captain Deneen in the Yeti Panhandle region has got the Grouper good. So if that's what you're setting your sights on in this weekend, look no further. Take it away, Pat. Go.
Hey, Brie, Gag Groupers are probably the most popular in the Panhandle. They're fairly numerous for the grouper species, and there's been some big ones caught. Some we call them copper bellies once they get like 40 pounds and up, caught since the season opened up this summer. Scamp are probably the most prized because they taste so darn good. And then there's a lot of red grouper caught particularly on the natural bottom in the eastern part of our region. And as deep dropping gets more popular, the yellow edge and the kitty mitchells are being targeted more frequently. And the yellow edge are particularly sought after because of again, they taste very, very good. But regardless of the type you're after, all are going to be found on bottom structure, either natural rocky bottom or wrecks. All are known for rocking you up as soon as they eat your bait, so it's critical to get them coming your way as soon as you hook them. So you want to use tackle that's heavy enough to make that happen. You want to use live and dead baits, fish close to the bottom on a slip sinker rig and a circle hook. And like I said, a rod and reel heavy enough to get the job done when you get the bite. And then also, if you're into spinning rod fishing or vertical jig fishing, the butterfly jigs or a big crocodile spoon drop to the bottom and just bounce just barely off the bottom is especially effective for gag groupers and scamps. The groupers are really popular bottom fish up here. Staying offshore, the kings have been biting good throughout the Yeti region. The fish are in that schoolie size up to and over, what one might call a smoker. You want to fish live baits like a herring or cigar minnow over structure and around the bait schools. Nose hook your baits on a stinger rig, and you can let that ha-ha hook rig ride either free or lightly hook it kind of back in the back dorsal part of your bait. If you're just using a nose hook without the stinger hook, when you get the bite, you want to free spool it, drop it back, let that mackerel swallow your bait some, and get the head of the bait inside of its mouth because they're notorious for cutting off the tails. And like I said, the kings right now are running in the 6 to 10 pound range schoolies, but there are some bigger fish around. And moving inshore, Rick, we've had great weather this past week, and the fishing's been very good for tarpon. The calm seas, the good sunshine, and the clear water add up to some exceptional sight fishing. The fish are moving east to west along the beaches throughout the Panhandle region in 10 to 30 feet of water. And you don't need a boat. The Panhandle Gulfside piers catch plenty of tarpon, particularly the Okaloosa Island pier. Out there, they favor a big Berkeley-type swim bait. I've been fishing live baits mostly with a 7/0 VMC circle hook. I've snelled my hook to 60-pound fluorocarbon leader. And we've been chafed off a few times, but that circle hook usually finds the lip, and most of the time that leader has very little chafing at all. The tarpon are averaging about 90 pounds, but there are some much bigger ones cruising through as well. There's a photo of Larry Sharp from Roanoke, Virginia. He fished with me last year and hooked several and brought some to the boat, but never got a picture like that. So this year he was pretty happy with going home with some more tarpon to talk about. And then finally inshore, the tripletail fishing. The same weather that's conducive to tarpon fishing, the calm seas, the clear skies, also makes great tripletail weather. They're off the Apalachicola Bay and beaches of St. Vincent Island and St. George Island pretty well. They're structure-oriented, so you want to find them around crab trap floats, nav markers, fads, tide lines, and also flotsam. And then also on that outgoing tide, just look for a free swimmer in the passes. A small live bait, like a shrimp under a cork, works particularly well. But on the fly, a shrimp pattern, a deceiver, a seducer, basically anything imitating a small bait fish. And if lures for spin fishing, a DOA shrimp or a small soft plastic swim bait does well. The fish are running up to and over 15 pounds, but most are in that 4 to 6 pound range.
All right, Pat, thanks so much. We're going to take a look at the blue water outrigger hotspots from the Panhandle region. He says, inshore, tarpon fishing along the beaches find a quiet stretch with minimal boat traffic and sight fish migrating groups. And then offshore, king mackerel over the natural bottoms and wrecks in 80 to 100 feet of water using live cigar minnows and herring. You know, Brie, I'm seeing all that B-roll of you with triple tails and Brie roll and triple tails and dolphin.
Yeah.
Now that you have Mia, you been fishing yet?
I've been fishing off my dock.
Cool,
lately,
but you know what?
Snook and Snapper.
We got to get you going.
I know we do. We need to get back out on the water. I'm ready. It's
know.
been a month. I'm like ready to go. I'm back.
Can we either take Mia with us, or maybe we leave with Daddy or Grandma, and then
Daddy's got this.
We can have a host day.
Daddy's got this. Just Rick and I.
Right,
Once
let's
again, baby, we're back. All right.
She got plenty of time.
I got plenty of time. Well, everyone, we have a second winner in the CCA Florida Star competition presented by Yamaha. So far, there have been 16 star tagged redfish recaptured with only 2 winners. CCA member and registered angler Andrew Brown of Pensacola, Florida, caught his winning fish wade fishing in Santa Rosa Bay on Saturday, July 7th, who chose the Contender 22 Sport with Yamaha 200 HP and will be awarded at the Star Banquet in October. There's still over 50 days of fishing, lots of star tagged redfish to be caught, and great prizes to win, but you gotta be in it to win it, so get registered at ccafloridastar.com. I bet he's very, very excited.
Congratulations, guess what? No more waiting for him. He has a new contender.
No more waiting, that was cute. You're waiting to say that, weren't you?
I was waiting to say that.
He was waiting. Okay, the Casa Vieja Southeast region is now up, and Captain Jimbo Thomas is gonna tell you what to be on the lookout for this weekend. Hey, Jimbo.
That's right. Hey, Brie and everybody else. Well, we'll talk about grouper first. You know, the 3 types of grouper that we most commonly see here in the Southeast region are black, gags, and red groupers. And those all those 3 can be found in the same areas. Now, we do have some deepwater groupers, but that's a whole nother report. So looking for these blacks, gags, and reds, any coral reef, ledge, or wreck structure from anywhere from 15 feet on out to 300 feet of water, those are all great places to start looking for those groupers. And this time of the year, the water's pretty warm, so most of those groupers are going to be out in the deeper water, say anywhere from 90 feet on out. And you can catch those by drifting or anchoring over structure. You want to fish with live pinfish, grunts, blue runners, or just about any other good live bait for that matter. That'll work. Or you can use cut bait. Bonita works very well. Mullet, ballyhoo strips. Or you can fish with deep jigs and butterfly jigs. And if you put a deep jig down, put a ballyhoo on there. That's what they really like to eat, if there's one down there at least. And now if you're fishing on those wrecks, you want to use some stout tackle because you need something that's going to get those fish off the bottom. And I like to use at least a 50-pound leader, and you can even go up to 80-pound leader. Fluoro's really not that special on those groupers, but it doesn't hurt. And when you use those live and cut baits, you also want to use a circle hook. Now, in the winter months when the water gets a little cooler, those groupers, they move up to the shallow water. One of the best ways to put some grouper in the box is to troll the reefs. You want to troll anywhere from 15 to 40 feet of water, or you can even go deeper. Just hard to get close to the bottom. You can use a wire line outfit, put a 2 to 4 ounce feather in front of a double hook ballyhoo, or you can troll Rapala X-Wrap 20s, 30s, or even 40s over those reefs. And I like to use a Rapala with a red head and white body, but I don't really think it matters. That's my personal preference. So now the best trolling speeds anywhere from 4 to 6 knots. And the grouper season, as everybody knows, is closed from January 1st and opens on May 1st. And unfortunately, that's prime grouper season. Now, I got a photo here of a nice black grouper caught by Ken Maddox. He was trolling in 25 feet of water off of Elliott Key. Now, staying offshore, we've been catching dolphin pretty consistently in the last week. Now, most of the fish have been schoolies with an occasional larger fish mixed in. And in the last couple of days, the fish have been anywhere from 500 to 1,500 feet of water, which is roughly 4 to 15 miles offshore. And we've been finding them mostly around big patches of scattered weed. And then later in the afternoon, there have been birds getting on top of these fish. Now, we've also found some good pieces of floating debris. Some of those pieces had fish, and others that looked really good had no fish. Now, the few of the fish are being caught on the troll. And when we find the school, we've been using small light pilchers and blue runners or cut bonita. Now, a lot of these fish have been on the short side, so we've been tagging and releasing those small ones. So if you do catch one with a tag in it, jot down the location, call in that tag number on the phone number, and hopefully that science will help us catch more fish in the future. Now, moving inshore, we have catch and release snook. All of the inlets throughout the region are holding snook, and they're being caught on live herrings, pilchards, and pinfish, or whatever baits in your area of the region. You want to drift through those cuts, fishing those live baits on a Jupiter rig, and you can also get them by bouncing bucktails, bucktail jigs, and soft plastics along the bottom, and on both the incoming and outgoing tides. Now, early morning and the evenings are when these snook are going to bite the best. Now, the nighttime bite around the bridge and docklight shadow lines has also been good fishing with live baits or jigs and soft plastics. And what I've been doing is fishing those mangrove shorelines. They've been working really good, especially if you can find some bait fish in the vicinity. And I like to live chum with small pilchards, then cast those pilchards. Otherwise, you can get bites using artificials like Rapala skitterwalks and sea trout colors and head-in super spooks, or whatever, anything else you got in your tackle box will work, I think. And then there's been some great bonefish in the South Biscayne Bay along the western shoreline from Matheson Hammock south to Turkey Point, also on the outside flats from Soldiers Key south to Angelfish Creek. And it's been mainly an early morning or late afternoon bite, with the outgoing tide being the most productive. On the higher tide stages, look for those fish mudding or tailing on top of the flats. Then as the tide lowers, look for the fish on the deeper edges of the flats and the channels. Live shrimp and small crabs on 15 to 20 pound fluorocarbon leader in a 2.0 to 3.0 bait keeper hook's been what we're using, or fly tackle with crab pattern flies.
All right, Jimbo, thank you so much. We're going to go ahead and take a look at the hot spots from the southeast region. Jimbo says inshore, work live and artificial baits through your local inlets for catch and release snook fishing, and then offshore. Head offshore and search for the dolphin under the birds and the weed lines and the floaters. You know, one thing I love about Jimbo, he's just basically in a short, he's saying, just go fishing.
He's a Sour Patch Kid. First he's sour, then he's sweet. They might be out there, but you're probably not going to catch them, right?
Try
Jimbo.
this, but maybe not.
But maybe not. Don't touch that drag, anglers. When we return on the Florida Insider Fishing Report, we're headed up to the East region, so stay hooked and we'll be right back.
The Florida Insider Fishing Report is brought to you by Harbor Trucks. Visit harbortrucks.com. Yamaha, reliability starts here. Suffix, always use the best line. The IGFA, fish for the future. Flagler Construction Equipment, your exclusive Volvo dealer. And Okuma, inspired fishing.
When you're moving a big offshore boat, it's all about thrust and trust. For thrust, nothing compares to the Yamaha purpose-built 5.3-liter V8 Power Pioneer. And for trust, Yamaha's new F350C model becomes the only outboard in its horsepower class to feature a 5-year limited warranty. Never settle for less than complete confidence and control in the open water. That's Yamaha V8 Power. Get the best and forget the rest.
Outside is a bully. There are bears, screaming fleet-footed waters. Arrogant mountains. Goliaths. 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 And 100 other excuses to stay inside. But there are ways to deal with bullies.
Remember the glory days of gasoline? It's just not made the same anymore.
Kick your gas into gear with StarTron. Pump up the performance in all of your engines. Cure the problems of ethanol with the power of enzymes. And maximize your mileage every time you drive. Kickstart your engines with StarTron.
As a top Nissan Titan dealer in Florida, Harbor Trucks is excited to offer your business a new 2018 Nissan Titan, starting at only $25,999. No gimmicks, $25,999. Our ridiculous volume allows us to offer this one-time deal that includes America's best 5-year, 100,000-mile bumper-to-bumper warranty, hassle-free buying, and low, low, low prices. Contact our commercial specialists now at harbortrucks.com.
Today's Power Pole tip of the week is about using dual poles. Now guys, I love the fact that with dual poles, I can create total boat control. Now when I approach a dock, or if I approach a point or an oyster bar, everything is in the angle of my cast in most fishing conditions. So what I try to do is understand exactly the presentation that I want to make with my lure and set the boat up by so doing that. So what ends up happening is we can approach a dock, we can approach that oyster bar, and I'm going to put the boat so that I can compensate for the wind as well as the current. And dual poles allow me to do that. Most of the time, if you have a single pole, you're always going to drift down current or even downwind, or the wind might blow you across the current. So you don't have the total control that you have with duals. So keep that in mind, that with duals, you're gonna have the total boat control, and that's today's Power Pole tip of the week. You know, Brie, I sit here and I wonder, watching that.
Yes?
What did we do before Power Poles?
I don't know. What did you do? That's my
We
generation.
tried to
What did
stick
you do?
we tried to stick a push pole in hard sand and it never worked. Then you had to go get an anchor.
A lot more work.
And it took so much time, and guess what? It didn't work.
No.
Guess what? It's
Thank
working
God
now.
for Power Pole. There
Thank
you go.
Thank you so
Have
much.
no fear, your East Region Captain Mike Holliday is here with some insider knowledge that starts with heading north if you want a better chance at a grouper bite. It's a more reflush pressure kind of thing. Tell us more, Mike.
That's quite the truth, Brie. It seems like the farther north you go in my region, the better the grouper fishing. Really, you know, it has a lot to do with the amount of bottom structure as well as water temperatures and less fishing pressure. Summertime, grouper are generally a deep water fish. The best action is going to be out a little bit deeper, like 120 to 160 feet of water, in places like the reef inside the Octalina Bank, the 8 Mile Reef off Stewart, the artificial reefs off St. Lucie County, like the Mullifin and the Ken M. And then, you know, some of those guys like to hand line those big Goliath grouper. If that's your game, you can go to the shark barge, the sand pile, or the power plant outflow and get all that action you want. As you know, grouper are kind of aggressive bottom feeders that like big baits. So live pinfish, live grunts, goggle eyes, red fins, those are going to be your top baits, although sand perch, blue runner, sardines, and mullet, those will work just as well. You can also catch them on 6 to 12 ounce white jigs with a glow worm, or you can catch them on a jigging spoon. The average group in my region is going to be probably 10 to 20 pounds, mostly blacks and mostly gags. I got a photo there. That big gag is caught in 120 feet of water on the Daymaker with Captain Pat Price, and that fish ate a live grunt. The other thing we got, the summer sailfish bite remains consistent for blue water trollers. The best action is taking place in St. Lucie County in 80 to 140 feet of water. There's still plenty of fish in Martin and Palm Beach counties, but the best stuff's up in St. Lucie County. The bite in those counties, in the counties to the south, is more like 60 to 120 feet of water. The majority of sailfish that are being caught are big, so you want to use 30-pound tackle at least so that you can move them when you get up close to the boat. For bait, pretty hard to beat a goggle eye or a live spread fin or a Spanish sardine, either slow trolled or drifted or put out on a kite. But you can always troll ballyhoo with either pink or a blue and white skirt. When you're fighting fish, watch for other sailfish trailing it, because a lot of fish have other sails on their back. If you see that, you can pitch a bait to them and double up.
All right, let's go inshore, Bubba.
Well, you know, the summertime snook population has moved into the inlets for the spawn, but there's also a lot of fish that are gathered along the beaches. So places on the beach like the Lake Worth and Juneau Piers, they're seeing a lot of good fish and a really good summertime snook bite, particularly after dark. In the inlets, tide direction doesn't seem to matter much as long as the tide is moving, although Jupiter and Palm Beach Inlet, they have better bites on the incoming tides. There's also a beach bite going along the South Jetty and Fort Pierce. That's where the juvenile pilchards and the minnows are kind of all stacked up. And a lot of the guys that are there on the beach are throwing flies. But if you want to throw lures, you can throw a saltwater assassin, either a 4-inch or a 5-inch sea shad in either the green, hornet, or copper juice color. and just work it down the shoreline, or you can throw a lipless crankbait in any of the pilchard colors and do pretty well. Just step in the water, throw parallel to shore. In the middle of the day, live bait's certainly the way to go, either pilchards or threadfins or sardines, croakers if you can get them, sand perch will work in a pinch. Average snook in my region is going to be 8 to 12 pounds. 50 to 25 pounds are being caught right now. I got a photo there. That's Andrew Lonebach. He was fishing with Brian Scott. They teamed up to catch and release that nice snook. That fish ate a live threadfin. The other thing going in the surf, with the surf calm right now, this is a great time to run out to the beach with a light rod, fish for whiting in the trough. They're in tight close to the beach. Pick any public beach access, although, like Blowing Rocks, Hope Sound, Bob Graham Beach, Normandy Beach, Pepper Park, those are some of the better ones. Any of the miles of beach in the region will work. You can just really find clean water and sandy bottom, so try not to get near the inlets with all that dirty water coming out of them. Whiting feed all day, so you don't need an early start. In fact, you want to kind of go midday, so you got good light, and you can even sight fish them, just kind of rolling along in the trough. You can fish ultralight rods, 1/8 ounce jig head, or 1/8 ounce jig in either yellow or white, working along the bottom with sharp twitches, or you can dig up some sand fleas or bring some fresh shrimp with you, put them on a number 4 bait hook, 15-pound leader, and a small split shot or jig head. Cast it towards any fish you see swimming in the trough. Whiting are, sight feeders, so they'll find that bait pretty quick. And then, you need 3 or 4 of them, you got enough fish for dinner. Average whiting is going to be about a pound. They're catching about a dozen every trip right now.
All right, let's go bass fishing, Hollywood.
Well, the peacock bass population in South Florida is just starting to pair up for the second spawn of the year. So that's got a lot of big fish roaming the shorelines of the lakes and canals from Palm Beach all the way down to Homestead. I was talking to Captain Alan Zaramba. He said there's still a lot of water moving in the canals, so that hasn't been quite as good. The best bites have been in the private lakes in Homestead and South Miami, as well as the airport lakes and the ponds along I-95 and the Florida Turnpike, as well as the Lake Ida and Osborne chain up in Palm Beach County. Live shiners are pretty much money on those fish, but a lot of anglers like to throw lures, something bright like a shad wrap in a fire tiger color, or a number 9 Rapala, or a lipless crankbait. Right at first light, there's some schooling action along the shorelines. You can throw small topwater plugs or small prop baits and do pretty well on those school fish. Average peacock in the school fish are going to be 1 to 4 pounds. Average peacocks in those spawning pairs is going to be more like 6 or 7 pounds.
All right, Hollywood, thank you so much. We're going to go ahead and take a look at the Atlas Jack Plate hotspots from the East region. Mike says inshore, Dawn Tarpon bite in Big Mud Creek, root beer colored DOA terrorizers, or 4-inch saltwater assassin sea shads cast to the rolling poons. And then offshore, blackfin tunas on Push Button Hill. Troll pink, silver, or red and black feathers in the area where you see the diving birds, Brie.
All right, Rick, well, the reports are in, and it's time for you to get out there and show us the goods. But remember, send us your weekend catch photos, and you could end up on our show in your region. Stay tuned for just a little bit longer, and we'll tell you what we're hooking up to next weekend, only on the Florida Insider
Fishing Report.
We're such a good team.
Look at how pretty.
Harbor Trucks is giving away a brand new 2018 Nissan Titan XD with the Cummins Turbo Diesel.
To enter, like our Facebook page and visit harbortrucks.com for more ways to win.
With the largest selection of new and pre-owned trucks in the country.
An on-site towing and test course.
Hassle-free buying and low, low, low prices.
Harbor Trucks is the place to buy.
Master your most challenging offshore experience with confidence and ease with Yamaha Helmmaster. Precise, intuitive control on the open seas. Unrivaled ease for maneuvering and docking in port. And now SetPoint adds 3 new dimensions to boat control. Maintain boat position with fish point, or a position and heading with stay point, or a heading while you drift with drift point. Yamaha Helmmaster. Now with SetPoint. Complete digital control for today's larger offshore boats.
When you're paid to put fish in the boat, you don't mess around with the thing that puts fish in the boat. Always use the best line.
Thanks for tuning in to the Florida Insider Fishing Report. Be sure to like us on Facebook and follow us on Twitter and Instagram to keep up with our captains, contests, and appearances. You never have to miss a show. You can find full episodes, special segments, and updated fishing reports from your region right on our homepage. Just head to FloridaInsiderFishingReport.com for everything you need to know to stay hooked up.
Make sure to tune in next week because we are talking sharks with our special guest, Dr. Guy Harvey, who will be in our studios, and very excited.
Keep your sharky.
We're going to talk about the sharks.
You know what's
You
so
went down
cool? Yeah, I went down to Mexico with Guy, and we tagged a bunch of Makos, and he's coming in to bring us up to date.
I got in
as to what's
trouble
going
for
on
that.
with
I let a bunch of Marlin University guys jump in the water with the Makos and got in trouble for it.
Yeah, I would imagine you would.
What Makos?
It was some
where was
sort
that
of,
at?
it was in Mexico, down there in East Loma Harris.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah.
What happened?
With the Keen M.
Makos?
Yeah.
Oh, you were with?
What happens down in Mexico stays
boy.
in Mexico.
Oh, yeah,
Toby
well,
Keith, here
it
we
didn't-
go.
it didn't
and
stay.
guys, if you want to be a part of our studio audience for the Dr. Guy Harvey show with the sharks, then sign up on our website, and there you have it. You'll be with us and Dr. Guy Harvey and talking about sharks, and it's going to be lots of fun.
He's a cool dude.
Thanks, guys, for tuning in, and we'll see you next
Thank you so
week.
much, guys. Good job, Brie.